But waves, pools, and eddies, trout are rising, forward it may fly, and the sun is shining down on the valley. Hope to be a fly fishing till the day that I die. Well, some folks like horses, cats, or dogs. Me, I like fishing with a rod and a fly. Yes, fishing is a favorite pastime of mine. If I couldn't do it, I think I would cry. Well, life is good when I'm wading a river. It gets even better when I cast a fly. If I catch a trout, it don't really matter. It's fun just to be here and give it a try. Spring has thawed out the long bitter winter. The water is clear and the skies are blue. I'm standing in the middle of the Delaware River. Might even catch and release one or two. Stoneflies and caddis and the ripples are plenty. Mayflies a courting on fragrant breeze. The cedar waxwings come down from the heavens, wait for their dinner up in the pine trees. A trout is rising in the far eddy. I make a false cast, then take my aim. If he takes the fly, I'd feel so much better, and if he doesn't, I'll feel no shame. The water is cold and my waders leak. It's raining down on my favorite stream. I'll bear it all just to fish with a feather, so when I sleep I will have a sweet dream. Life is good when I'm wading a river. It gets even better when I cast a fly. If I catch a trout, it don't really matter. It's fun just to be here and give it a try. Oh, ripples and waves, pools and eddies, trout are rising for the dry fly. The sun is shining down on the valley. Hope to be a fly fishing till the day that I die. Yes, I hope to be a fly fishing till the day that I die.
Hey folks, welcome to Riffles and Waves, the fly fishing show for kids of all ages. I'd like to tell you about the spot I'm here on. I'm on the Willowwemoc Creek, north of Roscoe, almost to Livingston Manor. And this is where I started taping my first show for Riffles and Waves. And so this is going to be my next first show. So I'd like to start by fishing in this area. It's a real good spot. In fact, I caught 3 or 4 20-inch browns here the other night. And what you gotta be sure of is late at night they start hatching, and that's the time to be fishing for them. So right now, like last year, in the middle afternoon, there's no real hatches going on. Okay, so I'm probably going to shut the camera off for a while and just hang out here and hold my spot, because this is a really good hole. And right now I have a beadhead pheasant tail type, pheasant tail, and I'm going to go out and try that for a little while. But what we got to do is we got to look at what's coming off later. Is probably going to be black caddis, maybe some stoneflies, and a few other things. And what I'd like to do tonight is to record the process of the hatches. It should start with midges and then progress into a caddis hatch, maybe a few sulfurs, because it is the end of June. It's in next week is the 4th of July, on Friday I think it is, or Wednesday. But anyway, what we're looking at is following the hatches as it progresses in the evening. Right now it's about 5:30. I just kind of arrived here on the stream. It probably won't be any good for another 2 hours till almost 8 o'clock. So it is going to be kind of dark, but again, I want to show you the process of the hatches as it goes up into the final hatch of the night. And last week at this time it was a black caddis. They were hitting the black caddis every cast. I caught like 11 fish in a very short time. So let's hang out here and see what happens today, because this is a really good spot. Well, let me go throw this nymph out there for a little while. Now, last year right in this spot I caught several fish with a stonefly imitation. Get away out there. Let that fly sink a little bit and see if we get any hits. I don't expect any rises right now. I do see a few bugs out there. Let that fly sink. Kind of get to the end of the float and lift it a slight amount. And then recast it upstream. And that beadhead should make it sink pretty good. It drops off right out there. It's kind of a big eddy. And last week at this time, well, in about a half an hour or so, I saw several large browns out here feeding. And that's when I put my giant stonefly on and caught a couple of real nice fish. So, we'll see what happens. I bring him in. I kind of wish I had a net. This fish is so big. He's been on for about 10 minutes now. Probably one of the biggest browns I've caught. Let's see where the fly is. Nice brown. Oh, come here. Come here. Oh, you got it wrapped around your nose. Come here. Oh, come here. Come here. Let me get that fly out of there. It's all rolled up in the line. Oh. And he's swimming away. Pretty healthy fish. Hope I didn't get my... Anyway, that was a nice fish. My fly is still floating, barely. So I think I'll go out and give it another try. In fact, the line broke, I believe. No.
Hi folks, welcome to Riffles and Waves. This is show number 2, and we're going to start talking about fly tying tools. Okay? And as we get into the show this winter, we're going to be doing a lot more fly tying and that type of thing. Okay? Because that's a lot of fun thing. That's a fun thing to do in the wintertime is tie flies.
when it's too cold to go out and go fly fishing, it's good to tie flies and get into that habit. You can never have too many flies, as most fly fishers will attest to, that no matter where they go, they probably only use 1 or 2 flies, but still, you can't have enough flies, even if it's just those 1 or 2 flies. So it's important to tie flies. It's also a misconception, I believe, that people get into fly tying to save money. What happens when you get into fly tying is you start buying vices and all kinds of gadgets, and it's just another thing to spend money on. So you definitely, if you want to be a fly fisher, you want to stick in school and go out there and get a good job so you can afford all these cool little gadgets that are associated with fly tying. So let's talk a little bit about vices. Vices are an important tool in fly fishing, and this one I got on eBay for a couple of dollars. It's got a really nice small grip here on the fly, in the head here. And what this does is, this is a cam operating type. As you put this cam down, it pushes and pulls the jaws backwards, and they close because the inside is tapered, so that as it comes back, it closes the vise here, the jaws onto the fly. Okay, so you can't have too many good vices around. You really only need one, and I've got a selection here. This is another type of vise. This one has a clamping device, and as you turn this, it closes the jaw tighter on those flies. And then there's a rubber spring here that opens the jaws, and then as you tighten this, the screw pushes and tightens the jaw down on the fly. So there's a couple little adjustments there. But this is a nice jaw. Basic, simple design, and it works fairly well. Fairly cheap. This is another type of vise, and this is a cheap alternative to the more expensive rotating vices. This adjusts the tilt right here, and then you would take this out, and what you could put in there is a little spring-loaded arm that would hold your line out of the way. So once you set it up, you don't need this little thing in here. Then you unscrew this part, and it allows the fly to rotate 360 degrees. Okay, so that rotates there, and then you tighten it back down. It's a very inexpensive rotating device for holding flies. So you can see you don't have to go out and spend a lot of money. Here's another pretty heavy duty one. This is a good one for fairly large flies. This is a heavy duty vise here. Everything on it is overly done. You know, it's pretty heavy duty brass and steel. And again, this is a cam operating type. Okay, and this would be good for large flies. Then you have this type here, which is on a portable stand, which allows you to take it out with you fly fishing. And this one also has the rotating ability, so you can rotate your fly as you're working on it, and that comes in handy on certain types of flies. Now, another little handy thing I have here is, this is a jaw that would fit in your vise for tying tiny midge flies. It has very small jaws for tying size 20 and 22 flies, which are, as we get into talking about hooks, we'll find out that they are size 20 is very small. Larger the number, the smaller the hook. But this you put in your vise, and then you spin this, and this tightens the jaws down on your flies. Okay, and that's a very handy little thing. I don't know where I got it, but it's another little gadget that I picked up somewhere, and it comes in very handy. Another important tool in fly tying is scissors. You need a good pair of small, sharp scissors. Now, I have a whole bunch of different ones here, but these I like particularly because the inside jaw has like a wire cutter type notch in it. This allows you to cut wire and tinsel and tubing and other heavy-duty things without ruining the sharpness of your scissors. These are very, very sharp scissors. You can cut yourself very easy on these, but they're very important in fly tying. You need good scissors to cut these small fibers. Here's another type, Fiskars or something like that. These are pretty handy for tying big bass plugs. These are good for clipping the hair around the fly, giving it kind of a haircut. Another very useful tool is called a bobbin, and this holds your thread. And these come in a variety of styles. And this particular one here is when you buy it, what I do is I bend it out a little bit and put the thread in there and try to adjust the tension to where I like the tension. And then when you thread it through the tube here and you pull on it, you should have just the right amount of tension that you like for tying flies. Everybody's got a little different feel for that, and you want to find yours. Another thing I recommend is buying bobbins that are fluted at the end of the tip here. This means there's a little curve to the outside with it. And what that does is it prevents the tubing from actually cutting your line or breaking your line. So that comes in pretty handy. Okay? And here's a couple of different styles. And here's another one. And that's fluted as well. And this one is fluted as well. I learned a long time ago to stay away from non-fluted bobbins, so I'd highly recommend that. This is called a bodkin and a half-hitch tool. The front of it, one end has a very sharp needle, and this is used for putting head cement on a fly. It's also used for picking out fibers of things, and it's also got a tapered end with a hole in it. And what you do is you wrap the thread around a couple times, put it on the fly, and pull the thread off, and it puts a half hitch around your fly to hold the material tight. And you do a couple of those and put it on. And some people don't even use whip finishing knots. They just simply use the half hitch tool, okay, and do a bunch of half hitches and put head cement on it. Here we have different kinds of hackle pliers, and we'll get into hackle next week as I talk about materials. There's a lot of materials you could buy or use to tie flies, and again, it seems like you never have enough of everything that you need. But what I'm looking at here is these are spring steel hackle pliers, and these are really nice. They really have a nice flat piece here that holds the hackle tight, and you put your finger in there and you wrap it around the fly, and it works very nice, and you get a good wrap of the hackle around the fly, and that's what makes the hackle stand up, so you have a floating fly. And we also have a couple of different hair stackers. Hair stackers are used to line the fibers of the hair, like say deer hair or elk hair for the caddis or certain type of other flies. You put the fibers in there tip first, and then you tap it on the counter and you pull this out, and the fibers would be all lined up, and then you would take those off and clip them and tie them on your fly as you needed. Now these are two different sizes. One is larger than the other, and it behooves you to have a couple of different sizes, at least a large one and a small one. I use this for the bigger flies, of course, and I use this one for the smaller elk hair caddis. And you can even make your own. There's a lot of people out there that use all different kinds of things to make these types of things. Now, what I'd also like to mention is hooks. To tie flies, you gotta have a hook, because that's what you put the fly on. So I have a large selection of different sizes, ranging from size 14, 18, 16, 10. I think I have some size 8s in here somewhere. Streamer hooks, yeah, size 8, all the way down to size 20 barbless hooks I have in here. So I have a wide variety of sizes. And for the nymphs, I use a heavy steel wire hook, because you want the nymphs to sink. But for the dry flies, I use light wire, and this is a size 16 with a whole bunch of other hooks on it. But these are barbless. I prefer to use barbless hooks, And these are size 20. I can't even hold those up because they're impossible to see. And here's 18, and here's some more 16, and here's some 18, and here's 12s, and here's some 10s. So my dry flies go up to size 10, and pretty much that's it. Then I have some other different flies here. Some eggs. I have some size 22s here. So you can see I've got a wide variety of hooks. And again, we'll talk more about hooks and when we get into tying flies and as to what size you may need or what size, what type of wire to use. For your basic dry flies and nymphs, you can get away with using pretty much the same hook for both of them. You don't have to have an extra light wire type fly or hook to tie flies. You can use pretty much the same hook. You just don't want a really too heavy of a wire for dry flies because they'll sink. Now, as a special premium this week, I'd like to, when you start tying flies, there's a lot of books out there, and this one you can get for free if you contact the Cornell University Distribution Center. And if you would like their free catalog of other publications as well, these are all free. You can contact the Distribution Center at Cornell University, 7 Research Park, Ithaca, New York, 14850. And what this is their fly tying, basic fly tying manual, and this is free, so you don't have to spend a lot of money. And this was put together by some folks up there at Cornell, and they did a very good job putting it together. And they show you all kinds of different tricks and basic fly tying techniques that will make anybody happy to have this little book here for free. So again, contact Cornell Cooperative Extension on how to get some of their free publications. They also have books on fish identification and other things like that. Now, this week, throughout my whole show series, I always have little prizes. Oh, and here's a tool that I forgot to mention. It's the whip finisher knot. It ties the whip finish knot, and I will show you how to do that later down the road when we get into fly tying. But this is the Riffles and Waves fly tying kit, and it's a $21 value. And I'm not selling it, but I will give this away to the first person who emails me after this show airs, and I will give you the email address later in the show. But it comes with some olive thread, which is my favorite color to use because it matches almost all the insects. It has a nice spring steel hackle pliers. It has a nice fluted bobbin. It has a nice half-inch tool and bodkin with a needle. It has a nice, fairly nice pair of sharp scissors, and it has the whip finish knot tire. Now these are all a special kit that I put together. This is the basic toolkit that you need. With this toolkit and a good vise and some feathers, you can be on your way to tying flies that will catch trout, bass, walleye, and just about any other fish species out there. I know a lot of people that catch carp on a regular basis in the Susquehanna and Shenango rivers. So get out there and start tying your flies. But first of all, you need to email me to win this kit, and I only have one of these for this week. Next week I will be giving away this nice whiting hackle. This is a B, what is it? Doesn't say what, it's a bronze Cape hen. So this is hen Cape. So this is a pretty good basic fly tying hackle, and you will be able to win this next week. But this week I'm giving away this fly tying kit. Riffles and Waves fly tying kit, and it's a $21 value to the first person who emails me at avkurt@mac.com. So get on your computer and email me at avkurt@mac.com, and I will respond to the first letter I get and tell you that you are a winner. Okay? Now, I don't use any of these email addresses for a list or anything else like that, and I just want folks to know that I'm available for comments and questions. So if you like the show, give me a zip. If you don't like the show, give me a zip just as well. I do this show for free. It doesn't cost anything to anybody, and I just want to teach folks out there some of the finer points of fly fishing, fly tying, and et cetera, et cetera. So if this is your hobby, I hope you continue to watch the show each week. Each season I do is about 20 shows. So it's a lot of work goes involved in this. And I'd like you to contact me. Even if you don't win the fly tying kit, I'd like to have questions from you. What would you like to see on the show? Would you like to see a certain type of fly tied? Would you like to see a certain type of technique shown? If I don't know how to do it, I will find out and I will show you on air. And even if I make some mistakes, we will both learn together. Okay? That's what it's all about. Learn something, be safe, and have fun. Well, I guess that's about it for this week's show. So I'll see you next week, and we'll be covering fly tying materials, hackle, threads, and hooks, and all the other things that go into fly tying. I may even have some furs available to folks. I have an overabundance of some black bear and white goat hair, and so if anybody needs anything like that, I'd be happy to get a hold of you and maybe mail you out some of that stuff. So feel free to email me and anytime and ask me questions at avkurt.mac. And until next week, keep on fishing. Walking down by the river, what do I see? Fish swimming in the water right by me. Turtle on that log, poking up in the sun. Ducks feeding in an eddy, looks like a lot of fun. Come on now, people, won't you listen to me? The river is a beautiful place to be. Walking down by the river, what do I see? Birds flying in the air, high above me. River is a habitat many creatures call home. And if you don't like it, please leave it alone. Come on now, people, won't you listen to me? The river is a beautiful place to be. Come on now, people, won't you listen to me? The river is a beautiful place to be. Walking down by the river, you can really feel what freedom means and what is real. You can sit and think while you observe all the life that's around us and what it deserves. Come on now, people, won't you listen to me? The river is a beautiful place to be. Come on now, people, won't you listen to me? The river is a beautiful place to be. Come on now, people, won't you listen to me? The river is a beautiful place